Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at the Traveler comic book, issue number 1, Far Trader. Brand new from Mongoose. We're going to talk a little bit about the contents of the comic. And this will be spoiler-free. I'm only going to show the first couple of pages of the comic and discuss what I liked and one or two things I didn't care much for it. And just take a general look at it, and then there's some appendices in the back we'll take a look at. So today, Far Trader, Traveler comic book number 1. Also, a quick reminder, subscribers, please do. Anybody who has subscribed, thank you very much. And of course, Patreon, please take a look if there's anything you can do to help out there. End of the commercial, back to the important stuff. Far Trader number 1, through Mongoose, but published by another company. I'll go into that as I get into the heart of the video. Today on page 121. Traveler comic book number 1 by Marcosia. The name is Far Trader. I picked this up straight from Mongoose's website. I realized that there are other places to get it, and I'll get into that in a moment. But we're going to take a look just at the inside here. It was written by Christopher Griffin, illustrated by Xavier Bernard, and then the cover was by Mauro Sorgietti. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. I like the cover a great deal. I think that's a really nice looking cover. Definitely drew me in when I first got it. And then Marcosia Publishing apparently is pretty big in Great Britain. I really am not familiar with them, but they're a pretty big publisher of graphic novels. I have heard this referred to as a comic book and as a graphic novel. Whichever name you want to use, that's fine. So Far Trader, Chapter 1, The Offer. So we start out with the ship calling for Mayday. They're under attack. And again, I'm not going to give up any spoilers. You'll see this immediately that you're into the story. So then we get into the group trying to repulse some boarders. And now we get into the artwork a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm only going to go... I'll stop here on this page. The artwork is fine. I am disappointed because... it's fairly common now, unfortunately, in comic books. There's no real backgrounds. One thing I always wanted to see in a Traveler comic book was just a little stuff sitting in the back, just the flavor of the ship, and seeing the equipment and the panels in the background, the control panels and the workstations in the background. And you don't really see that because the way graphics are done these days, there's not a ton in background. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you don't just appreciate it. That's fine. I'm saying what I was looking for when I first heard about this a few months ago. One of the things I was excited about was to see some nice detail in the background and get a real flavor for being on the ship. And the way the backgrounds are done, I don't really have a flavor for being on the ship. Maybe it's just a me problem. I don't know. But as far as the artwork goes, the artwork is fine. The coloring is a little light for my taste. I am colorblind. So I did find it a little tough to pick some stuff out. I realize that's a me problem, but I'm not the only colorblind guy who's going to buy this. I just didn't find anything really, clearly defined that helped me to follow the panel. But again, that's a me problem. Now going forward in the book, I don't want to give up anything here. I'm going to take a look at one of the appendices. Keep my hand over that. And we get to look at some of the bad guys that are attacking the Slowhand. That's the name of our Far Trader that in this book. This billed as Far Trader number 1 Extras, the Kadzudi Corsairs. And we get a little background on them. And we get a nice look, a character. One thing I do want Mongoose to do more of is give me actual character write-ups when we get some people mentioned and introduced to us. And then here's the Corsair itself in Traveler terms, which I like. I like this a great deal. I was really excited to see that. A nice graphic of it. Very well done. We even get the deck plan, the top-down view. Love it. And then we get a Girogur Class G carrier. It's a stealthy, well-equipped G carrier. Tech level 12 Grav Flyer, which I liked also getting the Traveler rules for. Then we get a nice Traveler Core Rulebook 2022 update ad. And then we get an ad for the Pirates of Drenax. A lot of the flavor of this book comes from Pirates of Drenax. It's not necessary to have that to follow the comic. And this truly is a gateway comic. Some nice back cover art, or backside art, and then the back cover gives us a nice little synopsis talking about Traveler. This is a true gateway comic book. The idea behind it is to get you excited about Traveler. If you've maybe been on the fringes and haven't quite decided if you're going to take the plunge, then this is a good way for you to kind of enter into it. You're following a trader named Slowhand, and it's just a crew trying to make a buck, going from port to port. We get a very little experience in jump space in here. We have some nice ship to ship going on through the book. We meet the crew. We get some background, a little depth in the crew with tantalizing hints of more to come. So I definitely enjoyed that. I'm going to withhold any judgment on the story until I've read parts 2, 3, 4, because right now the story is unfolding. It's hardly fair to judge whether the story is good or bad because the story hasn't had any chance to grow any legs. So right now, yes, the story's fine. I'm enjoying it. I like the free trader crew. I like the characters I've met that are on the crew. Some of the bad guys haven't been fleshed out yet, but again, that's for future issues. The background, lack of background detail, that's something I grumble about. It's just me. I'm sure I'm not alone in that, but it was something I was looking forward to, and I kind of didn't get. The other thing I didn't care much for was the price. It was $8, which is stiff for a comic book, but I realized that that's also what the market's doing these days. However, I intentionally bought this off of Mongooses' website, and I was charged $8 shipping plus tax. So my entire bill for an $8 comic book was a little over $17, or right around $17. I was really surprised that I was hit for the full $8 shipping, and I will definitely be looking for a cheaper alternative than going through Mongoose for the next issue. I'm going to talk to my local comic store, and failing that, I'm going to go on to Amazon or something like that and see if I can get something better. Paying the cover price to get it shipped to me, I realize it's coming from England, but even so, paying cover price to get it shipped to me was a bit of a sticker shock for me, and this is the most I've ever spent for a comic book, between shipping and everything else. And I've been buying comic books since 1972, and this is hands down the most I've ever paid for one. But those few grumbles aside, I did enjoy it. I don't have any idea when issue number 2 is coming out. I'm sure a lot of that's going to depend on how it's selling. I know that there's a lot of buzz online about this. I'm excited about it. I can't wait for issue 2. I never judge a comic book by the first issue only. I judge it by some of the merits within the cover, but I never judge the story because the story is just unfolding. So there you have it. For whatever it's worth, that's my opinion. Traveler Far Trader, yes, definitely pick it up. Number 1 is still available. I would absolutely recommend it. Note to Mongoose, please let us know if and when number 2 is in the offing. Just, any kind of, first quarter next year, second quarter next year, any idea when the next one's out. A lot of comic books these days, especially from imprints that aren't any of the big houses here in the United States, tend to be kind of sporadic, and I'd like to be able to keep my my eye out for this one. Also be able to tell my local comic store, if I'm going to get it through them, hey, can you get this in for me? So that's all I've got today on page 121, Traveler Far Trader, Part 1. Yes, I do recommend it. I am excited about Part 2, and hoping for a little more detail in the background. But that might just be me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I do recommend it. So that's it for today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.